Welcome to the first ever Sawdust Mountain Tech Tips. Tech Tips will become a collection of short videos about individual tech items we use on the homestead. This episode I will be going over the Bogart Engineering Trimetric TM-2030A battery monitor. So have a watch and see what you think. The Bogart Engineering Trimetric TM-2030A is the battery monitor we at Sawdust Mountain Farms decided to go with, mainly from the recommendations from HandyBob. If you don't know who HandyBob is, he has a blog, HandyBob's blog, about boondocking RV solar systems. At least that's what it started out at. And then he got into off-grid stuff, but it's all relevant and it's all great information for an off-grid solar system. So you need to go check out HandyBob's blog. I wouldn't have half my stuff squared away like I did when we moved here if it wasn't for HandyBob. The TM-2030A is not like many battery monitors. It monitors batteries by measuring amp hours in and out, not just volts. And it's only the batteries, not the solar side. So you don't have to guess if it's correct or not. Voltages can give you erroneous, false readings if the batteries haven't set and stabilized. And while you're charging, you'll have one voltage reading, and then when you're got a load on it, it's going to have another voltage reading. When it's just sitting, it's going to have another voltage reading, and you'll never know exactly where it is. It's not a good measurement. Really, the only good measurement is with a hydrometer. But in my case, I got AGM batteries. You can't use a hydrometer. So the TM-2030A keeps track of it for me by measuring the amp hours in and the amp hours out. So I know what's in there and what I've used. Let's go over use and stuff like that. Hit the select button and it'll bring up the volts of the battery bank. The B1 is your main battery bank. B2 is a secondary battery and it only reads volts on that battery bank. It's for like an RV or something like that that has a second battery. In case of an RV, you have the house batteries, which would be B1, and your starting battery, which would be B2. Let's hit select again. That takes us to the amps. This is what is being drawn from my battery bank right now. Right now I'm using 1.4 amps out of my battery bank. If it didn't have the negative on it, that means it would be charging. So you can see how many amps are going in or how many amps are coming out, depending on which it is. You can also change in the settings to show watts instead of amps if you want to. I prefer amps. It registers better in my head. Some people like watts, so you can change that in the settings. Battery percent full. This is your battery percentage. Right now our batteries are sitting at 100%. This morning it was probably down, maybe 95. We're not using much. As you can see, it was only 1.5 or so. So we're not using very much at this point in time. You hit it again and it goes back. It normally would go to B2 if you had volts on that system. Now down here is a list of other things you can get to by pressing and holding it for 3 seconds. First one comes up is amp hours from full. This is how much we've used since the battery bank got to the point of full. So since the battery bank got filled earlier today, we've used 0.7 amp hours. So we haven't used hardly any yet. It's at 0.71. That just tells you how many amp hours you've used since the last full charge. This one is days since charged. That would be how many days it's been since it registered a full charge. So 0.22 days ago, earlier today, we had a full charge. If you went a couple of days with no sun and it on a solar system and it didn't get fully charged, it would show 2 days or however many days it has been since it was fully charged last. DSE, days since equalized. Yes, I need to equalize. I know. I've been slacking. I got mine set to manual and I haven't done it, but I need to pretty soon. It's like the days since charged. It tells you how many days it's been since the battery bank has been equalized charged. Power. This is the watts. This is how many watts it is instead of amps. So right now we're using 36.937 watts. RPC, replace percentage from last discharge. This is how much battery percentage has gone back into the batteries since the last deep discharge. Ours really hasn't been discharged real low lately. That's why it shows 122. But you hit it again and it goes back to battery volts and you can cycle through that one again. What else can you see on the front? Charging light. When flashing, it meets the charged criteria within here. I don't have that number on me. I'll look it up and I'll add it later. Battery reminders. Time to charge. It's telling you it needs to charge. And time to equalize is telling you it needs to equalize. Or battery low, telling you need to stop using stuff and charge. What else can you do with this? If we go over here to amps, you can use this to determine how much an appliance uses. Say you want to check a coffee pot. Who uses a coffee pot on a solar system? But you want to check it. What you do is in the evening when you have no sun and you're getting no charge, or you plug in that coffee pot and unplug everything else, and it'll show you how many amps it's drawing off the battery to run that coffee pot. You can do this with all your appliances. That way you know how many amps that appliance runs, and you can determine by that about how much you can use each piece of equipment. You might put numbers on it like the old Green Acres where you had numbers on it and you could only use this one and that one. Anyway, that is really helpful. We did a lot of that when we first got it set up and got down here. We determined what we could run, when, and everything else. During the day, when you're getting full sun, this thing will be positive. Mine, we've seen it as much as almost 60 amps going in, and that was while we were using stuff. So it's pretty handy. That's about it. There's a way to get in there and look at the history. I'm not going to go into that right now. I just wanted to go over the main things that you can do with it. Now, you'll need to get a shunt if you buy one. There's two different shunts, a 100 amp and a 500 amp. A 100 amp, even on a 12 volt system, that's only 1200 watts. That won't cover most 12 volt systems. If you're using it like a 1200 watt inverter, it won't cover it. You might as well get the 500 watt, or 500 amp, sorry. The price difference is very little, like $1. You might as well just get the 500 and be done with it. The best place I found to buy it was eBay. They usually run between $250 and $275, somewhere in there. I've seen it go up a little bit lately. I think they're around, I just had a friend buy one for, I think, $275. But it's well worth it. Well worth it. There is a history in there. The history, if I'm not mistaken, covers the last 4 days. I could be wrong on that, and I will annotate that later. But you can go back in and see a few of those settings and what you got on that day in that history. And it uses that history and algorithms to measure exactly where your battery is. So it's using the history to be more intelligent on telling you if the battery's full or not. Well, that's the TM-2030A. You can go check it out online at their website. I'll put a link below, along with a link to HandyBob's blog. You need to go check it out too. Thanks for watching the first ever Sawdust Mountain Tech Tips. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button and share it with your friends on Facebook or other social media. You can check out our page on Facebook, Sawdust Mountain Farms. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave a comment below. If you'd like to see more of our videos as they come out, hit the subscribe button. And go check out some of our other videos about Sawdust Mountain Farms.